And welcome back. This is video number 3 and your final video. We're going to cover here how the blog is integrated into this site and all the other sites in exactly the same way from the common landing page. And we're also going to talk about how your forms are integrated here. So we did talk about when we were covering the Contact Us and New Client form. Let's go into one of them just to recap here. So when you go to them and once it loads, click these 3 little lines, and then here again the short form is here, so the form doesn't actually live here, it's being asked to come here, if that makes sense. So the contact page is the same thing with the main contact form. So from here, if you wanted to change this contact form or this main contact form here, you would do it. You come over here to contact forms. That makes sense. And then I apologize for my internet connection. So then we have 2. We have the main contact form and we have the new client form. So here's where they live. Just to give you an overview, this is where these 2 are. If you wanted to add a new one, you would click this button here, or you would click here. They would bring you up to a new page, which we'll show you in a minute. Otherwise, the cool thing about this is you have this entries button. So if you click that, you can go in here, and it shows you what entries have come through each form. So here, upon first look, the form name, so this is for the main contact form. You've had 2 come through, and if you wanted to look in there, you can either click their names or you can click view. So let's just click view, and here you can see all of Sharon's entry, right? So if we want to go back to where our entries are, now sometimes this gets lost over here and sometimes I forget, but if I want to change forms, there's a switch form drop down here. So you click this and you click on new client so we can see the other ones. Right, so again we have Christy here in the new client area, so we can view it, or we can click on her name and it would show us same as it did on the other one. So that's fantastic. Now let's go back to saying that we wanted to change one of the forms. Let's say you wanted to enter you wanted their pet's name. So let's just say that. So it's the main contact form that we want to change. You can click on that. Now this can be a little complicated, and again I'm always here to answer any questions or help you in any way, and the forms can be a little tricky, so don't hesitate to reach out about it. But so we wanted to get their name and their pet's name, so that would be a single line text. So we're going to click on that, and you're like, where does it go? Well, it puts it all the way down here at the bottom. But see how if I scroll up into this kind of bluish area, it turns into the 4 arrows. That means I can grab it. So I'm left clicking and I'm holding and I'm scrolling up to where I want it here. Okay, and then to change it, I click this drop down and I would highlight it and type pet name. Alright, and say I wanted it to be a required thing. So I click on this and it puts this little red thing here, and we're going to update that form. Going to contact us. We're going to refresh this. Boom, there it is. Alright, so it's pretty easy. And most of the time little changes can be made, but sometimes it can get a little weird. So again, don't hesitate to reach out. But because we don't want this here, I'm going to delete it. And it's going to ask me, are you sure that I want to delete it? Yes, I do. Okay, and then I want to update the form. And I come back over here. And I refresh. And it goes away. Okay. Pretty straightforward, and the new client form acts the same way, but there's a couple different things you're going to want to use. So these are called single line texts, alright? Or this is a single line text, this is a paragraph text, okay? This is a drop down, this is a checkbox, alright? So we have single line text, which is this one. We have a paragraph text, which will present like this. You have a phone number, which is an advanced field, and is a phone, so that is making sure that it's an actual phone number that goes in there, not just a bunch of numbers to help you out. Email is the same thing, and make sure that it's an actual email, and then to confirm it, so say we put this up there, all it would originally say is enter email. Let me show you. So if I click on that and come down here, it just has this one long thing for email, and you're like, well, how did I get it to do that? Okay, well, if you create a new one, you're going to drop this down, and you would click enable email confirmation. Boom. and it split it out into two. And what this allows you for is, you've been asked when you sign up somewhere, you do a form, just to make sure that they typed it right the first time. That's really all that does. And then say you want it to be required, you get that red asterisk there, and you're good. Okay, but we're going to delete this because we don't want it there. This is drop down. So to edit it, we click this little arrow. That's our question. And then these are our options here, which show up in the drop down. To add another one, you click this little plus sign, and to take one away, you click that negative sign. And then you want it required or not. If it's checked, it's required. And then we have checkboxes. So to edit it, click that down. Here's our question. These are our checkbox. Again, same thing. If you want one, click that. If you don't, click that, and then it's required. Boom. I'm not going to click save just in case I mess something up, but if you want CAPTCHA, which you've seen this, all you would do is go to the advanced fields and hit CAPTCHA, and it's not going to let me because there's already one on here, so let's just get rid of it. Boom. Okay, so we'll say we click CAPTCHA, and then it comes up with this little ugly one, or at least I think it's ugly. So I'm going to change that. I'll click this down arrow, and the theme, you click this, and I click clean. So it just kind of melds into your site a little bit, yeah. Up, and save and update. Good. Go back to forms. And then the new client form is going to act exactly the same way with exactly the same options. Okay, address is in the advanced fields. Again, it's going to help you come up with and make sure that what they enter is an actual address. A drop down, we know how to do that. And I don't think there's any, but these are radio buttons. We haven't seen that yet. So it's a standard field. And pretty much a checkbox and a radio button is exactly the same thing. We covered what a checkbox was, but a radio button just does it in this aspect. It just makes these round instead of check marks, basically. So you have one down. The label is the question or the statement or whatever, and then this looks exactly the same. So if you want another one, you do that, or if you don't, you click that. Paragraph text, paragraph text, paragraph text, single line text, single line text, single line text, single line text. These are radio buttons. These are paragraph text, and then that's it. So everything on here you know how to do. So that covers everything on St. Clair. And again, every other, the Jackson County site and the Bedford site are exactly the same. They have exactly the same functionality, the exact same usability, and they're pretty much laid out exactly the same, so you shouldn't have any problems there. Now, the only other thing is we have this blog, and this blog sends us to the common landing page, the blog of the common landing page. Okay, now that means that the blog actually lives here, and for that, all the other sites, when you click this, it's sending you away to this. But then we also have these over here. I put these so that they could go back to where they were. Alright, so in this page, so now we're in Southern Indiana Veterinarian. This is where you would make your updates. Here it looks a little different. We have one more. We have what's called posts here. And what I like to try to remember is that, if I want to change a page, if I want to change a whole, if I want to change a whole website page, home page, about page, contact page, things like that, we go into the pages area. Otherwise, if it's a post, we understand that it's called a blog post, and it goes here, right? So we're going to click on posts. Now there's nothing in here except for the standard Hello World one, right? But say you wanted to add a new post. You'd click here, you can click here, or you can hover over this and click here. They're pretty much just catching you wherever it feels comfortable, but we're going to click this button. Now there's not a whole lot that you have to remember about these, even though there's a whole lot of options. Really, and I always just dismiss this, you need a post title, right? So if we go to the blog, this is our title, okay? And then our content is whatever you want to say in that blog. And again, we're familiar with this. We have the links, you can add media, you can link to videos, things like that. And then we haven't set them up yet, but we can, is we have categories. Just make sure that you've clicked on categorized, okay? Because that's where it's pulling from here. This is programmed to pull all categories, regardless of what they actually are, but you have to put it under a category for it to know that. So The only things that you need are a title, some content, and click this uncategorized button, okay? And then when you're done, you click publish, and it'll show up in chronological order here. Pretty straightforward. Again, we can go over this in the one-on-one, and we can actually publish one if you want to have one ready. Perfectly fine. Be good. But now that we are actually on the common landing page, we can continue there. So the welcome page is the home page, and we can show you how all this works. You're familiar with it. We have an image, we have some text, we have that iframe thing, and we have an image. It might look like a lot, but it's really not. You go to the contact page. And again, the same thing on that blog, but just back to these websites if they happen to be there, okay? But the contact us is pretty much the same as all the other ones, but we have this. Which of our locations are closest to you? Whether it's St. Clair, Bedford, or Jackson County, or they don't know. Just to give you an idea of where they might be and how to reach out to them appropriately. But this form is changed exactly the same way. You come over here to forms, which isn't showing up. I will make sure that that shows up over here, but it's exactly the same as a St. Clair and all of those. So really the only thing here, let's just go over the home page. So let's go into website pages. We're going to go to pages. So we have welcome. Alright, now that does look like a lot, right? But it's actually split up so that you could you can make these changes easier. So we have image, which is just that, right? So you would upload an image. Divider, don't worry about them. That's just giving you some space. St. Clair, that's this here, which is this. And then divider, don't worry about the dividers. And we have the contact info, right? Again, we're familiar with this. We know how all this works. We know how the links work, so we're good. We have the map. And again, I wouldn't mess with this unless you're comfortable putting this iframe in. And again, this iframe I got from Google Maps. I just go to Google Maps, put in the address, go to settings, click embed, and it spits this out. And now I just put it in here. And then we have the clinic image. And again, don't get confused. If you're on text, just click visual, and boom, and you'll change that by clicking add media. And they all act exactly the same way. So again, it looks like a lot, but it's really not. So I think that actually concludes everything. We've gone over this whole site, which is exactly like the other two sites, and we talked about the blog and the common landing page and how that works. So yeah, so now just review everything, get a little comfortable with the back end. Let's schedule a one-on-one and have a post ready for that. We'll put it in together, make sure that everybody's comfortable with how that works, because Anita said that you probably wouldn't make a whole lot of changes to the websites, but the blog post is definitely where everything's gonna be happening. So let me know how this goes, and I look forward to our one-on-one training.